dear friends. I would like to continue my overviews on the latest events in the United States. First of all, I would like to present you so-called Trump New Deal for the years to come. And you can get this material in Russian. I give you links to the Russian text. Now, please listen to my thoughts on the Trump 47 New Deal, and I hope that you will like it.
Trump 47's New Deal, to be or not to be. Part 2, Part 1 dealt with Lenin's idea that organization multiplies forces tenfold. Now, it's applying to a small group of 8,000 agents of the U.S. intelligence service with $9 billion in funding annually. It was under Miss Kimberly Cheatle until the attempt on Trump's life on July 13th. According to her, it happened by itself. Of course, Miss Cheatle, as a leader, took the blame on herself for what happened, with the conclusion that the sniper was a lonely wolf, and she took the blame for all that shooting. However, in her responses at the Capitol Hill hearings, both political parties, with the exception of a couple of independent race and sex minorities representatives, demanded the impeachment of those who had put Cheatle in the position of the Queen of the U.S. Security Service in fall 2022. So, it is Biden and Harris, clearly in collusion with the sponsors of many media, multinationals and big techs, who are against Trump's New Deal for years to come. There is a historical parallel with the Democrat F.D. Roosevelt, who saved U.S. capitalism with relying on Stalin's socialism, and today's the Czech-Stalinist regime under Putin, as well as his subordinates in the CIS. They also gave a hand to U.S. demos under Biden. Of course, under Trump 47, there will be no revenge of the demos for another half a century of their tyranny, as it happened with commies Yurk in the Russian Federation and Maoist China. This is in the second part of my overview. The convention in Milwaukee opened the doors to the future of America to illegally people. They are heroes for the U.S. Vice President to be J.D. Vance. His future boss and partner billionaire Trump recognizes him as a reliable and loyal ally for the formation of the party of common sense. It should replace the corrupt and deceitful bipartisanship, and looks like this. First, the removal from the White House, the impeachment of Congress or the military, without today's General Austin and General Brown at the top of the Pentagon, to Biden and Harris as conspirators against the U.S. Constitution with fixed facts of treason. In addition to the allocated 800 FBI agents, Trump supporters are already collecting evidence by themselves about that treason up to the Democratic National Convention on August 1924. And there it will become clear about the relation of those sweet couples in power as actors in the conspiracy against Trump 45 and Trump 47. Secondly, the 50-year dominance of the hereditary elites of the demos is opposed by open and honest competition for power from below. That is, from the roots of democracy, from the time of the War of Independence and the Monroe the Second Doctrine against such an aggressive phantom as the SCOBRICS alliance. Thirdly, the enemies of the United States are opposed by Confederate patriots with the right of each state to reasonable exceptions. Fourthly, the Trump 47's perestroika program, or the New Deal 2, is to be loaded with IT, AI from Elon Musk and his partners, but not from other big techs. They have long been in the service of demos and renegade Republicans. Microsoft, for example, turned off its computers at U.S. airports for technical checking on July 19th, just in response to the convention in Milwaukee, and 30,000 flights were canceled by those digital servants of the sweet couple Biden, Harris. Even greater nasty things can be expected from such servants of the Democratic Party by its Congress on August 1924. They are already against early electronic voting for Trump 47, and such a voting has been underway since July with support of Elon Musk's money in the sum of $46 million per month. All Trump supporters are waiting for the resignation of Austin, Burns and other heads of law enforcement, military and secret services and agencies. The absence of such resignations might become a pretext for impeaching Biden and Harris on the Capitol Hill. There is also such a litmus test as the operation of the U.S. Special Forces to free 25 fellow citizens from Hamas captivity. This will signal the resignation of the bosses of the U.S. Siloviki security sector and the State Department itself. And then the USA on November 5th will be under the protection of not only the military on duty, but also by the National Guard of each state. Plus, there is a growing active participation of the Trump's military electorate as NGOs and families of war veterans and former MIC workers. Civil voters should not be afraid of any dirty tricks by U.S. Special Service, which are still on the leash of the Demos, as the July 13th event demonstrated. At stake, there is also restructure by Trump 47 law and order hookers. They have long been paid by Soros and other oligarchs. There are latent connections of them to China, Russia, and Iran. The latter publicly considers the United States to be Satan, secretly counting the loot from their up to recent $10 billion under Biden. Let's clarify the details of the U.S. Perestroika program according to Trump. They are taken from declarations at the convention in Milwaukee and findings up to July 26th. There are 10 of them so far. 1. J.D. Vance in his book, The Hillbilly Elegy, 2016, and at his speech at the convention in Milwaukee substantiated the potential for the development of white trash or white immigrants from Ireland and Scotland, both in the settlements of the young America and later on in the 21st century, so that this human junk and punk will make America great again and soon under his and Trump's leadership. 2. Kennedy Jr. stood forwards against the norms of life when political killings, his father and uncle encouraged the military-industrial complex, TNC and fascists of any race and religion. 3. Ramaswamy and Vance presented their personal ties to India as a preacher of peace. Vance's wife and Vivek himself are the children of naturalized immigrants from India. They are symbols of 40% of the Indian workforce in Silicon Valley, which is the forge of the IT/AI industry. Vivek Ramaswamy and Vance USH''s wife are examples of melting pot's patriotism. 4. Multi-ethnicity and peaceful confessionalism are obstacles to the waves of anti-Semitism after the events in Gaza on October 7th and later, the skirmishes between Iran and its Houthis and Shiites in Lebanon with the nation-state of Israel, which has been the strongest ally of the United States. But Biden's pseudo-support for Israel destroyed the previous high prestige of U.S. armed forces on the Middle East. 5. Under the demos, there is a half-century absorption of up to a third of the federal budget by the military-industrial complex and the U.S. law enforcement and security sectors, including for military bases that have not been needed for a long time and the maintenance of costly secret services. 8000 microsecond secret service employees get $9 billion per year. All this is a time bomb under the peace-loving demagogy of the Demos and the lousy, not genuine, Republicans to corrupt them more and more. 6. On July 23rd, both parties impeached the former Secret Service queen and, in fact, declared mistrust to all those who appointed her in 2022. They disagreed with her plans to renovate the whole U.S. security sphere with 1-3 rank and file of women, sexual and national minorities by 2030. This is a clear counterbalance to the white trash rising from the hilly-billy sectors of the USA to the White House and Capitol Hill. And this is a successful move by the Trump's followers against their label of white supremacists by Biden's Demos. They dismissed Trump supporters in the armed forces and the civil federal services as white supremacists. 7. In response to the July 15-18 convention in Milwaukee, the servants of the Demos from Big Tech staged a shutdown of their computer networks on July 19th. Already on Capitol Hill, Hearings are planned to limit the permissiveness of that digital currency still under Harris against Trump 47, but now with reasonable restrictions in forms of reasonable exceptions. 8. The debate between Trump and Harris on September 10th may not take place due to the impeachment of her and Biden following the investigation into the July 13th events on Capitol Hill, which is underway. 9. Trump and Vance stand for returning the spirit and words of the U.S. Constitution with serving the principles and ideals of the War of Independence, and they replace a Great Britain of the 18th century with the PRC under Xi, the Russian Federation under Putin, and Iran under the mullahs in power. Although Xi's recent heart attack threatens the SCOBRICS summit in Kazan in October itself. 10. The change of politicians in the White House under Trump 47 is also a rejection of the services of expertocrats and media gurus, which has been proven to be on the leash of demos and renegade Republicans. Such a rejection is already going in favor of AI on platforms from Elon Musk and his partners. There might be another revival of the U.S. Peace Corps as part of a Doctrine Monroe II versus the SCOBRICS alliance, if it does not collapse without sick President Xi and healthy Putin, with many faces. The conclusion is obvious that before November 5th, the struggle for the open and hidden internet providers have started the fight for supporters and opponents of Trump 47. Early electronic elections now in favor of Trump 47 affect the forecasts of the military political leadership of the United States and its allies, in particular, in Israel. This was demonstrated by Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech at a joint session of the two houses of Congress on July 24th. Harris met him with fake smiles, but Trump met him at home in Florida as a friend. If Biden easily surrendered Afghanistan to China in 2021, then Israel and Ukraine do not want to be handed over to Hamas and the Kremlin. Trump 47 is ready openly and honestly bribe U.S. opponents with a strong dollar, and not hit potential enemies with missiles from U.S. military bases abroad and U.S. Navy ships and subs. The Monroe Doctrine too is based on their reduction, as well as on the reduction of funding for the military-industrial complex and the Pentagon, FBI, CIA, etc. In response, the Kremlin declared that the Russian Federation leaves the doors for interaction open. Sergei Lavrov is in Wash.D.C. Trump 47 will have to deal with Eurasia and the global south. Their anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism have grown stronger under Biden. And without Biden and his always laughing Miss Harris, if they are sooner or later got impeachment for July 13th, the flow of drugs along with 20 million illegal immigrants through the south of the United States will be ended soon. Among illegal immigrants, there are many ex-convicts and patients of mental hospitals from all over the global south. Trump 47's New Deal has the potential of hilly-billy people to co-op with illegal immigration with the priority for the domestic market's growth thanks to development of AI. The support of new IT/AI workforce, including Indian peacemakers, is to contain Chinese impudence, if any. So far, Bharati Prabhakar, a 65-year-old Indian, has been heading Biden's Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, since 2022. Until 2022, this lady Democrat was the director of DARPA 2012-2017, where she conducted fundamental research for their application in the military sphere. But new peace-loving and young Hindus like Vivek Ramaswamy and the beautiful wife of Vice President Vance, Asha Vance, could be on the rise. Under them, the Maoists, mullahs and Chekists will not penetrate the peaceful zone of the Monroe Doctrine too. High standards of cybersecurity is under Trump 47 plans. This is what Trump's New Deal looks like in general terms. Are there questions? Don't hesitate to ask. These achievements have been made possible by national policy.
All right, guys. Sorry, I made a mistake. Lavrov arrived at New York airport, but not in the Washington, D.C. Maybe later on he moved to Washington, D.C., but I don't know it. Okay, so that's it. And please resend this text, and we should clarify or rectify the situation around the New Deal by great Donald Trump. Bye bye.